All right, it's preparing for the YouTube presentation. So if you, but I don't even know if people are already watching this. I've just got my voice in the video, but let me just take over and the video part. So that's here. That's funny. Set up that way. You get a bit. Let's get a little tweak in here. Plus, this gives people a little bit of time. Get yourself ready. I got this part. Right. Yes. Welcome. We're gonna start it here. What help Father? What's up? How you guys been? Let me know who you are and where you are. Where I was it? There we go. And we're gonna be a little bit really. What's up, Grand Rising? Woo! Getting this stuff started. Need to be able to figure a way that I can make it like boom. I know. And it just starts when I wanted to start on the live, not as soon as I click on the meeting and then got to share it over to YouTube. Well, making it a YouTube video. Right. So YouTube, you're gonna be a little bit delayed. So if I see your questions a little bit late, not ignoring you, just there's a delay between YouTube and a Zoom call. What's up, Facebook? How you guys doing? I appreciate you being here on this morning. We are just starting today for our what's supposed to start at 10 o'clock, but we're gonna go on into our day here. Let me know where you are, who you are. Mika, how you doing? Grand Rising, peace and blessings. Start. Here I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Oh, we got Walter really in Adele, Georgia. All right. Not that far away. Get ready to get into our continuous Tuesday study. Why I left the Bible. What's wrong with the Bible? What is wrong with it? Got to put my microphone on for you guys. We are on Zoom at the end of the chapter and verse of 17. People will be able to come into the Zoom podcast and start it. How you doing, Michael? Welcome. I want to thank those who's over on TikTok and Facebook, because that's where we do the lives. You guys get all the videos. I hope you enjoyed the video that I posted yesterday on Facebook. It won't allow me to post those videos in its entirety. That's why it says that for the full video. So if the video is interesting for that first 10 minutes, you can go to YouTube and watch. Arguing with foolishness yesterday. Yesterday, we didn't get a chance to do our Monday motivation meditation because I was at the VA all morning, and it took way longer than it's supposed to. We are going to continue and move forward. YouTube is right here. They're up there, so that's why. Other than the reading part. So we have journeyed into this understanding of Exodus. We're at chapter 17. You would think that we would already be getting into the promise, but of course, there must be more story. And some of it, now I do find most of this chapter, the next two chapters, a wee bit boring. I do find it a little bit boring. Not a lot of A lot's going on here, but there are some things that are a little off according to this story. There was a marking exit needed that I wanted. I have to turn this thing to it. But when something is said, I want to be able to refer to it. Yes, yes, right there. Right. All right. There's a point of reference I'm gonna need in a minute. I want to make sure I got it for you when it's time for it to come up. It doesn't come up, I believe, till chapter 18. Already. How you doing, Albert? What's up? What's up? Oh, I want to thank everybody who's become members, who subscribe, join the page. Those who have donated financially to the page, I want to go ahead and thank everybody who's done that. And those who will do it in the greatly, greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for that. Before I even get started, and show my gratitude. Everything. So, what's going on in the story at this point? Well, we're finna get something that should be easily proven if this was a real story. We should be able to find this river that we're going to talk about here. So to start with 17. Remember, they not made it out. They out there complaining. They've been told that for the next 40 years, they want to eat bug shit. Remember, the manna from heaven, we went over that. Manna from heaven being the bird caca or insect caca. And they had quails. And it's interesting that the book already said they're going to spend 40 years eating, but yet we haven't gotten to the golden calf yet, where the actual punishment of this generation shall not enter into promised land. But it already tells 40 years. Now, a person could argue that this is being written after the fact. So the statement that they will eat this for 40 years could be like when you watch a movie, they show you like a midway part of the movie and then go back and tell you the rest. It could have been, you can make that argument. But we know they're eating 40, they just finished, so they've been told they're going to eat the insect manna pellets for 30 years. Appreciate the 50 stars, Albert. Thank you very much. So that's where we are in 17. The whole Israelite community set out from this desert of sin, which is the moon god. Traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded, they camped in Redaphim. But there was no water for the people to drink. So they quarreled with Moses and said, give us water to drink. Moses replied, why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test? We're out in the desert. There's no water. It's about 2 million people. Of course we're going to be upset. Why wouldn't we be upset? Wouldn't we be pissed? Why wouldn't the people be angry? That's a dumb, that statement has never made sense. Why do you put the Lord to the test? It's not putting the Lord to the test, putting your leadership in question. You brought us out here. Now, some people would say that this is a measure of faith. They should just have faith in the Lord. Wander out to the desert. They stuck in the desert and they have nothing. They should just not complain, sit there and just trust in the Lord. This is often what people who are in oppressive situations are told. That don't worry, don't fight. God will save you. He will pull you out of Egypt. This is what my ancestors. Don't worry about it. And this is refortifying that thought process. But the people were thirsty for water. Um, but the people were thirsty for water there. And they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt, make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." And Moses told this guy that he didn't want to do his job anyway. And the people are valid. He brought us out of Egypt to make us and our children and our livestock die of thirst. It's a little over dramatic here in the writing, but you brought us out of slavery. We were comfortable in our misery. And this is a thing, but just as a life lesson that you should really understand. People can have a tendency to stay in the misery that they know and the misery that they're comfortable in. And this actually is a good demonstration of that instead of being free, that these people would have been more comfortable to sit in the misery of the slavery that they know, that they were born into, that they were accustomed to, than to be out here trying something new. This is one of the things that holds back when their governments are oppressive, is that you're comfortable in the misery that you know instead of striking out and doing something different. So if I was back in the day, that would have been something I would have done and preached and utilized something like this to show how those people were stuck in that. Now, then Moses cries out to the Lord, and he's like, "They're already ready to stone me." Right. Of course they are, because there's no, and you're going to see it come up later, there's no organization here. It's just like, follow Moses, do what Moses says, follow Moses, do what Moses said. Moses doesn't really know what he's doing. He's just going based on what this God is telling him, literally creating the calamity that will come later. The issue that these people will have later is created by this God leading them into these spaces, creating stressful situations, and then miraculously solving the issue when the issues could have been solved and the people could have moved forward. But you keep creating a situation of desperation and then expect worshiping you. Of course they're going to build a golden calf, because you're manifesting your own disloyalty to the people. As we continue, then the Lord answered Moses, "Go out in front of the people. Take with you some of the elders of Israel, taking your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go." This would be Aaron's staff. Remember, it was Aaron's staff that "I will stand there before you by the rock of Horeb. So I will stand." Okay, let y'all have that one. See what you won't stand. Could be reaching by saying that he's physically standing in a body, but we do know most scholars agree that the gods of this era, the thinking of this era, is that God has a body. That's why he's always anthropomorphized and given different human-like qualities. Does human body things like eat with Abraham and that sort of thing, and needs his feet. "I will stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So it's standing there, which is going to, people today are going to say it's allegorical, just the presence of God, or he's making a stand. So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Nasa and Meribah, saying that wrong, because the Israelites quarreled and because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord of us or not?" So we've given you the location out of the desert of sin to the rock of Horeb. And he struck this rock, and water just starts pouring out of this rock. So we should be able to go into the Sinai Peninsula. It's not that big. Use satellite imagery, whatever technology, flyovers, drones. We should be able to go into this area, find a rock, and you got to think they're watering 2 million people and a whole bunch of livestock. This is not a little stream. This can't be, a creek, or, I'm from Georgia. This ain't a creek. Not a creek. This the Chattahoochee, y'all. This got to be way down yonder on the Chattahoochee. That's what this got to be. It's got to be a Chattahoochee-sized river. It's got to be, we're talking 2 million people in a desert. This has to be a huge flowing river in order to facilitate this for those people. And it's coming out of this rock. The water is either going to it's going to go the path of least resistance through this stream. So it might trickle first, but that will piss the people off. But it's got to be gushing out. We should be able to find, even if it's dried up, we should be able to find an ancient riverbed that flows out of a rock away from this mountain. And yet we have not. So these people, they got to be, he's naming these places. These people got to be there testing this God, make sure that the Lord is among them. I would have thought that all the stuff that happened in Egypt, we good. I mean, yeah, you want to continue to. I wouldn't question whether or not the Lord is with you. But come on, man. These some funny people. Now, I love this part we're about to go through. The Amalekites came and attacked the Israelites at I cannot say this word, Rephidim. Moses said to Joshua, choose some of our men and go out to fight the Amalekites. Tomorrow I will stand on top of the hill, and with the staff of God in my hands, I will smite them. I will rain down bolts from heaven. I will send some locusts to eat them up and blind them. I will do something. No, I will stand on top of the hill, staff of God in my hand. Just know that every time nope, that's not what happens. That would have been a much better story. Much, much better. But instead, it continues and says, so Joshua fought the Amalekites as Moses had ordered. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went on top of the hill. As long as Moses held up his hands, the Israelites were winning. Whenever he lowered his hands, the Amalekites were winning. When Moses' hands grew tired, they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. Aaron and Hur held up his hand, one on one side, one on the other, that his hands remained steady till sunset. So Joshua overcame the Amalekites' army with the sword. You got the magic stick. So they fought all day till sunset. They fought, but you got the magic stick. You never used the magic stick. Instead, this miracle battle was won as long as Moses held his arm. You know what that sounds like? Okay, so I had a hard time picking out what I was. Main reason why I had it's a nice sunshiny day out there. I didn't want to wear a long sleeve shirt. But my Hawks are playing today. And the last time that the Hawks played their best, I had this particular shirt on. I thought I should wear that shirt. Maybe it'll cause the Hawks to play their best. That's what it sounds like. Y'all know y'all have experienced that. Where Michael Jordan said that for his career, he used to wear his North Carolina shorts up under his Bulls, right? It seems like that's what that sounds like to me, like it's a superstition kind of thing. When you're watching the game, as long as you're sitting a certain way, your team is winning or whoever you're cheering for is winning. And so you sit there. I've literally watched people not go to the bathroom because they thought, dang, as long as I'm sitting here, we winning. But if I get up and I go to the bathroom and come back, change my position, then all of a sudden we start losing. I literally watch people do that. You have these superstitions. They got their lucky. You got the lucky Moses with his arm. This story makes absolutely no sense as far as what reality will be. No strategies, a thing of that nature. And if this story was real, then why are you holding up your arms instead of using this staff, same way that you used it against the Egyptians? Why aren't you causing for, the men of the Amaleks to be blinded? Why do you have to suffer the losses of some of your Israelite people? If you truly were a good leader, then you would just hold up your arms, and that big fire. Remember when it was camped out at the Red Sea, the fire that separated them. This fire could be devouring the Amalekites, but instead, you let your people go out fight, and you let lives in for what? So you can hold your arms up, and then Moses, people are dying, and nerves to get tired holding your arms up. So, as a Marine, that irritates me. It does, but I'm going to move on because here's some more, as they say in this book. Here's some more to what they're going to say. Say something else. Then the Lord said to me, write this on a screen as something to be remembered, and make sure that Joshua hears it, because I will completely blot out the name Amalek from under heaven. Right, because nobody after this battle is ever going to know the name Amalek, because he's going to blot out the name Amalek, because ain't nobody ever heard the name Amalek, because this guy said that he's going to blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven. We ain't heard of Amalek. We ain't never heard of Amalek from the Amalek. The Amalek. Well, no Amalek. God blotted out the name Amalek. But y'all ain't never heard the name Amalek. I'm sure y'all exactly. Claim to blot out somebody's name, but even within your own book, you wrote out the name. And if your book is supposed to last forever, kind of messed up. This guy thinks like a child in this instance. When I think it was Pope Leo X, when he tried to erase the Egyptian Ankh from existence, he went into Egypt and they chiseled out and took the tops off of it. They took the tops off of the Ankhs so that it looks like a cross. So they would only keep the crossbar. And they were somewhat successful at that, because they did it throughout Egypt to the water table. But what they did not know is that the water had risen and that there was more building, and the Egyptians had a habit of duplicating what they write. So when the water table lowered hundreds of years later, and you see the same inscription. You can see this when you go to Egypt. That you'll see where the Romans chipped out the Ankh, but below level where it's exact replica, you see the fullness of the Ankh. That's actually an attempt to blot something out. You know what I mean? Like, you don't blot something out in the book that you expect everybody to keep, in the scrolls that you would do something there. Too many contradictions in this so-called holy book. Exactly. So, yes, and Wakil, he seems to like to play with his breaking his toys. But hey, he was blotted out of him. And he wanted to make sure that Joseph knows what happened. Joseph, you won there as long as I held my. Moses built an altar and called it the Lord my banner. The Lord is my banner. And he said, because hands were lifted up against the throne of the Lord will be at war against the Amalekites from generation to generation. So this God is going to continuously punish the Amalekites, according to this story, for generations and generations. That's a little sadistic. You did something. I mean, who can I use? Michael. I like Michael. I'm going to take this person. Michael did something against me. Deborah did something against me. I'm going to punish your family for 15 generations. That's a little overkill. A little overkill. How are you going to be at war with the Amalekites for generation and generation? For the opposition of Amalek, whose name was blotted out. But you want to do. But this is how this guy works. Very vengeful. Talks about forgiveness, but yet doesn't show forgiveness. You know, if you're going to be a forgiving God and you wanted everybody to come under and believe in you, then why not do things to convert the Amalekites? Why didn't you convert them? Why didn't you convert the Egyptians? Why do you instead want to destroy and punish people, kill their firstborn children, and consistently and continuously destroy people? You don't show forgiveness, but yet expect your so-called creation to share. And I say so-called creation because if you got to believe that it's God, but you want your creation to show forgiveness. You want your creations to, but you don't. And I know later on it changes and says that no longer will the sins of the son sins of the father be cast down to the sins of the son, which shows that you can't make up your mind. Like you're not this all-powerful, super intelligent, filled with wisdom God that you have to keep changing the plan. You know what? I tried being the threat of generational condemnation, but that ain't seem to work. So why am I gonna? So I'm gonna stop punishing them. You should have known that right off the rip. If you're God, you're the all-powerful God. You should have known that, and would have known. It's like you know that what's about to go down in chapter 18 does not work. That setting up judges work. But let's continue. And we're going to start out with this one. I'm going to need my other book. Get down. Yep, it's an abusive parent mindset. So as we start in chapter 18, it says, now Joseph, priest of Midian and father-in-law of, heard everything God had done and for his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit here. And let's go back chapter 2. Now, this is when Moses had ran from Egypt. And he said, and this is when he came to the well. He's gonna meet his wife. And we covered this at that point as well, but just want to go back and do it one more time. And let's start at 18. It says, when the girls returned to Ruel, their father. So this is after Moses had watered their little animals, had fought off the guys and watered them. When the girls had returned to Ruel, their father, he asked them, why have you returned so early in the day? They answered, an Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds when he even drew water for us and watered the flocks. Where is he? Ruel asked his daughters, why did you leave him? Invite him and have something to eat. Moses agreed and stayed with the man, Ruel is the man, who gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. Zipporah gave birth to Moses, to his son, and Moses named him Gershom. So Ruel is Zipporah's daddy. But of course, we know in chapter 3, it switches it up and says that Jethro is his father-in-law. You know that here in chapter 18, it just said Jethro is his father. The Bible wrote well and completely forgot about that man right after. Right after. So who the father-in-law? Do we need a more Povich show of who the father-in-law is? but that just shows one of the contradictions of this book, and that this book cannot be the actual word of a supreme deity, but it is the man-made create. It's the word of a man-made created, a man-created idea of God that is based off of culture and who's ever in charge. So after Moses had sent away his wife Zipporah, his father-in-law Jethro received her, which they didn't tell us this when he actually did it. We're just learning this now. So if you were imagining this as we've been going through it, in your mind, Zipporah was there the entire time. Especially if you grew up and you watched the little movie, The Prince of Egypt, because in the movie Prince of Egypt, Zipporah was there the entire time with him in Egypt, and that movie didn't let you know that they had children, right? At least I don't remember children. But Zipporah went with him on his journey. But remember, Zipporah, this guy was going to kill Moses. Like, I'm gonna say, you know what, dude, go ahead. I want you to be my guy. I'm talking to you, through a burning bush. Go be my guy, get my children out of Israel. Then halfway through the journey of just getting to Egypt, this guy's like, what? You had a son and you didn't hack the foreskin off? I'm gonna kill you, Moses. You would think this guy would have known that before he chose Moses, since he's supposed to be the God, but he didn't. So what happened? Zipporah jumped, quick-witted, jumped to her kid, cut that PP off, get that foreskin, dangle it up, little bloody foreskin. This guy's like, you know what, Pet, you cool. Maybe that's scared, Joe. Maybe that's scared. He's like, Zipporah, she quick with that knife. So, baby, go home, go home. It's a mess about to go down. You go home. But you see how they took that Hollywood liberties with that movie, and I guarantee if you was talking to somebody who has claimed Christianity and says that they read, this would be a good test. Was Zipporah with Moses when he was facing Pharaoh? And if they say she was, you can tell that they're basing their ideas of that on a cartoon movie. And that's how easily people are swayed. And they don't go read these books for themselves. They have watched that cartoon movie. I'm going to test that out today on somebody. And I guarantee, I'm pretty sure they're going to say, yeah, she was with him. They watched the cartoon movie and didn't actually read their book. But according to his story, he sent her away. We never knew, but he did. Right? And her father-in-law, Jethro, who was named Ruel, and I don't know, maybe the man got to it. Maybe his name is Jethro Ruel Jenkins. Maybe that's his name. And her two sons, so he received her and her two sons. One son was named Gresham, for Moses said, I have become a foreigner in a foreign land. And the other was named Elijah, for he said, my father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh. Just a little tidbit point here, not trying to be nitpicky, but it's the Bible and it's supposed to be perfect. But this can be read one of two ways. It could be Eliezer saying this, or it could be Moses saying this. If it's Eliezer saying this, my father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh. You weren't born when Pharaoh was killing the firstborn. And you're not even the firstborn. You're the secondborn. So what are you talking about? You were not. So that's why I don't think it's Eliezer who's saying this, but Moses saying, this is why I named you my father. He saved me from the sword of the Pharaoh. Because let's be real, dude. Pharaoh, when he ordered the firstborn of the Israelites to be killed when Moses was a baby, keep down the population, they didn't use the sword. They drowned the babies. So it wasn't the sword. Now you can say that was figurative speech. You can make that argument. You can make that statement. But either way, is not exactly accurate. It's not exactly accurate in this statement. Now, I had a thought, and it just like, now you get that thought and then it falls out of your head. He said, my father's God was my everything. Save me from the sword. I cannot remember what else I was supposed to say right here. It just fell out of my head. This is why notes are. Yes, this is why he told Moses to write it down so Joshua would know. Guess I should have wrote this note down, but I did not. And I didn't write it down. Thought that I had as I've been reading. That's why I did write it down. All right, so continue, and maybe the thought will come. But Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, together with Moses' son and wife, came to him in the wilderness, where he was camped near the mountain of God. I guess everybody knows that what's happening. Now that's an amazing thing. Since everybody knows what happened, why do we not have other people's history stating that this stuff happened? We don't have any of that. We don't have any of the Mesopotamian people who say that all this stuff happened in Egypt. If it had happened, they would have written it. According to the story, Jethro found out about it. Jethro had sent word to him. They even know where Moses is. So it's easy to find, you know. I, your father-in-law, Jethro, am coming to you with your wife and your 2 sons. So he sent the runner out. Go get there early. How you doing, Jeremy? Get there early. Let them know we're on the way. I don't know. I mean, that's good because wouldn't want my in-laws just showing up. But he got my wife with him. I might want to see my wife and kids. I mean, I would think that would be important to Moses to see his wife and kids. That would be like very important. But this is the Bible. So Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and bowed down and kissed him. They greeted each other and then went into the tent. Moses told his father-in-law about everything the Lord had done to Pharaoh and the Egyptians for Israel's sake, about all the hardship they had met along the way. The Lord had saved them. Hey, there go my wife, there go my kids. Oh, father-in-law, hello. Let me greet you, bow down to you, kiss you. Come, father-in-law. Let's go inside. Wife and kid, keep your little dirty selves outside. Everybody here to see y'all. That's messed up. I'm just saying that's messed up. You have gone done all this stuff. Here's your wife and your kids, and you don't even acknowledge it. Matter of fact, for the rest of this chapter, they won't even be mentioned. They ain't gonna say anything about them. You so caught up in your father-in-law. Wonder why. That's an interesting thing. But I'm gonna let it go. I'll let y'all ponder it for yourselves. Jethro was delighted to hear about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel in rescuing them from the hands of the Egyptians. He said, praise be to the Lord, capital L-O-D, all caps, who rescued you from the hands of the Egyptians and of Pharaoh, and who rescued the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that the Lord, capital L-O-R-D, is greater than all other gods. He did this to those who treated the Israelites arrogantly. They keep mentioning all these other gods. It goes back to what I've been saying repeatedly. These people are henotheistic, meaning that everybody accepted that everybody gods existed. Now, based on a group of people and what's happening between one group and the other group, they all have it's not new to give credit to your deity. How people do that today. Oh, I won the lottery. Thank God. I won the NBA championship. Thank God. I'm a starving child and I don't have any. And somebody brought me a piece of bread. Thank God. They give credit for everything to this deity. And if your deity has done something greater than somebody else's deity, then your deity is stronger. So when whoever wins this NBA championships, their faith in their deity is stronger. If an all Muslim team won, then I guess their God was stronger. If atheists won, I guess the belief in that there's no God until sufficient proof is stronger. Or maybe it's just the people. Good people, bad people, good generals, bad generals. Good decision making, bad decision. There's circumstances, there's cause and effect. Cause and effect is always at work. Oh, I didn't die in a car wreck. Well, you didn't die, but the person who was in the other car next to you, they died. Both of y'all believed in the same God, but they died. But I guess it was their time. God wanted them to be with them. That's why they died in a car wreck. That's the way that they had to go in a gruesome thing. Yeah, well, they did it that way so that I could learn a lesson about appreciating life because all I do is work. And that's why that happened. We can make up 50, 11 different reasons to justify why something happened in our life and give deity instead of just the fact that instead of the idea that it's just cause and effect. It's cause and effect. You are the causation of most of the things in your life, but oftentimes you are also the effect of other people. If I'm sitting in here right now and somebody loses control of a plane and it crashes into here, or lose control of their car and it crashes into this building, well, I then have to determine what causations I'm going to take out of that situation. But I'm in the situation because of somebody else's causation. So now I've been affected. It's not God. It's not a deity that's at play. It's just life. It's just the way things are. And him to say that he's greater than all the other gods, their minds, you had to be, if you had the best case scenario, things worked out for you, then you will claim that your God is stronger. But then what happens the next time you meet and you lose? Oh, well, my God is still my God, but we're just being punished. That makes that other person's God at that point. So Jethro is adhering to this. I almost dropped it. All right, so where was I? Went off on a little tangent there. Da-da-da-da-da. Jethro was delighted to hear all about all the good things the Lord had done for Israel. In rescuing them from the hands of the Egyptians, he said, "Praise be to the Lord who rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians." Pharaoh. Wait, did I read that? Pharaoh, and who rescued the people from the hand of the Egyptians. Oh yeah, now I know that the Lord is greater than all of the gods, for he did this to those who treated Israel arrogantly. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought burnt offering and other sacrifices to God. And Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat the meal with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God. So they all gonna have a big men's feast, no women allowed. But this is the mentality that they have to have in order that they must suffer to be rewarded. The next day, Moses took his seat, serve as judge for the people, and they stood around him from morning till evening. When his father-in-law saw all that Moses was doing for the people, he said, "What is this you are doing for the people? Why do you alone sit as judge? Why all these other people stand around you from morning till evening?" Moses, you're doing too much work, bro. You sit there all day and just deal with people bullshit. Moses answered him, "Because the people came to me to whenever they had it is brought to me, and I decide between parties and inform them of God's decrees and instructions." So he decides and then blames it on God. I mean, he decides and he gives the credit to God, not blame God. That's not what I ain't mean that. I ain't a fan of. But so basically, he's like a televangelist, judge, dictator right now. People get into a disagreement, come to him, he tell him what he thinks, and says that the Lord has freed it, and these are the instructions that you are to follow thereafter. But I'm gonna give Jethro a little props. Jethro about to set up a theocratic system that has still lasted to this day because we can still see countries that are set up as theocratic systems. Moses' father-in-law replied, "What you are doing here is not good. You and these people who come to you will only wear yourselves out. The work is too heavy for you. You cannot handle it alone. Listen now to me, and I will give you some advice. And may God be with you. That's a good way to put it. And may God be with you. Like, listen, God be with you so that you will understand and do what I tell you. You must be the people's representative before God. You need to be on the high post. You need to be president, dictator, and bring their disputes to him. Teach them to decree, amen, God, and bring their disputes to him. Teach them his decrees and instructions, and show them the way they are to live and how they are to behave. Basically, you set up government and say that you are in charge, and God wants you to live like this. This is like a precursor, letting you know the 10 Commandments is coming. Yeah, my job is, I'm sitting at the entrance of the cave of the Oracle of Delphi, give out the instruction which she gives in her heightened sense, drug addicted movements. Here for you. Keep paying me and I'll make the sun come. But select capable men from all the people. I can skip something. Teach them the decrees and instructions and show them the way that they are to behave. But select capable men from all people. People who fear God, worthy men, who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over hundreds, over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Basically, let's set up this judicial system where we're going to have supreme, I'm the supreme, you the supreme, and you got the appellate courts, you got the locals, you got your jurisdictional courts, you got your county courts, you got your town courts. But let's set it up where you got your different judges throughout the entire court system so that you don't have to deal with all the petty bull stuff. You just deal with the big stuff. Really, you're like the Supreme Court. You're just making rulings on whether or not that is the idea of the Supreme Court. So we can still see this kind of a mentality of how our judicial system is set up. I don't know the exact ins and outs of our judicial system. I know a few things, but it's set up in such a way that all roads lead to the Supreme Court when things cannot be handled. It got to be something major. Supreme Court, the petty stuff is low. And not a bad system, but it's a theocratic system, which kind of makes it a bad system. Because your qualification is first, men. No women. Even though it was your wife Zipporah who saved your neck, even though it was your mama who saved your neck, even though it was your sister who had a mention of your sister early on, but didn't say that she was your sister, and then your sister come back later and she did with some trembles. Even though women have kept your butt alive, yet here no women can be in charge of anything. It is a cop-out, but no women can be in charge. So, and then they must, men who fear God. So you got to select capable men of all the people, isn't it? Men who fear God. They have to believe in this God. They have to fear this God. It doesn't say respect. If that fear really meant respect, then it would say men who respect God. You would translate it that way into English. But it's translated as fear because they mean ones who are afraid of it. And it's like being a child and you're afraid of your parent. You're not a good parent if your children are afraid of you. Different respect you. But you got to be in this theocratic system. You can't be a foreigner. And trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain. So that's a good, you don't want people who getting payola. That's when people find money on the ground and say that, look at what God has blessed me with. What could have been theirs for their last meal to eat. Exactly. I know, I'm sorry that YouTube is a little delayed, so I see some of the comments late, but I'll throw it back every time I possibly can. I was going to say something about that one again later on. Anyway, so have them serve as judges for the people at all times, but have them bring every difficult case. The simple cases they can decide themselves. That will make your load light. lighter because they will share it with you. If you do this, and God so commands, you will be able to stand the strain, and all the people will go satisfied. Actually, is a good system. So I guess the whole point of Jethro coming to meet his son-in-law is take your wife and kids. I'm tired of taking care of them, but man, you need some. Let me set this judicial system up because now Jethro is about to leave. But it's a good little system so that, and if you look at this from a corporate standpoint, this would be a good way of your aim. This is how companies are set up. Got the top people, and they only handle the big stuff. Everything else is handled down below. The manager, your time card is jacked up, go to the CEO of the company. There's people in place. So as you grow a company, remember, you put these people in place to do these smaller jobs, and you just handle the big stuff. So this is a good little system thing. It's something good. See, I point out something good. Except for the qualifications. You gotta be a man, you gotta believe in this God. But this is also how theocratic systems are set up, and this is how they keep them going on, and how they keep women from being able to grow in these systems. Saudi Arabia ain't gonna ever. I ain't gonna say never, but it would be an amazing feat to see Saudi Arabia relinquish some of these qualifications and let share responsibility and authority. I'm not a person women. I just advocate for equality, period. But if you're a theocratic system, if this is your equality, go run with it. But it is mainly for the people in that country to decide that. We're going to talk about something that's very similar to that. Just Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all of Israel and made them leaders of the people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people at all times. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. Then Moses sent his father-in-law. Jethro returned to his own country. But now it doesn't say anything about Jethro returning to his own country, now being converted, because Jethro does not. Jethro does not become a convert. It never concerns itself with converting anyone, really, until New Testament, and it talks about Gentiles. Most of the time, this book is only for the Israelite Hebrew people. It is not for anyone else. There is no attempt to convert anyone. People make that decision when we get to, if we continue beyond this one or the next one. When you get to Ruth, are the things of Ruth saying that, you know what, I'll make my God your God. But that is her decision based on wanting to stay with Naomi, even though Ruth should never exist, because we're going to find out a little while later in these books which that would include Jethro. But I don't know if that's in Exodus or Deuteronomy. It's in one of those two. They kill all the moon. And the Midianites are the priests of the moon. There's that. But that is the reading of these two chapters. So what we have here, where's this rock, this river, this ancient river that pours from a rock? It doesn't pour from a mountain. You see, it would make more sense if it poured from a mountain, because at the tops of the mountain, they get snow cap. The snow cap melts, and then that provides for the water, that creates the river. You got that one. You got underwater aquifers that could pour out of the size of, but we don't have that with pressure building up, pushing water up and coming down on the mountain. But we don't have that. No, we got that he struck a rock. It can't be too high. Moses is old. He's getting old. So he struck a rock. The rock started pouring out water. Now it had to feed two main people. We should have an ancient rock bed of this. We don't have that. Where is it? We also see the contradiction. Who's Moses' father-in-law? It's a small thing. It's not a big deal. It's not a make or break, except for the fact that it's supposed to be the complete word of God, the inerrant word of God. but you cannot have contradictions. You blotted out Amalek's name. No Amalek. No him. You wrote him. Can't blot somebody else's name in your own book. Figure out a different. You would say an army of the Amalekites, their leader who should not be named because God has blotted out his name. And then talk about how you superstitiously kept your arms up in the air, and that's how you won the battle, which is a superstition kind of thing. But people ride with that, and they utilize these by how they were able to achieve this or achieve that, and other people may have suffered, at the hands of it. But people suffered when Moses got not Moses' life in danger, when Moses got tired. And then here comes Jethro. You bringing a wife and kids. That's cool. Wife and kids that you would have thought was with him. But I want y'all to ask. That's something I want to curious to know. Ask somebody who's Christian. Was Zipporah with Moses when they crossed the Red Sea, when they was in Egypt? If they say yes, they're basing it on cartoon. And that is sad. It shows you the power of being. And it shows you that people don't actually go and vote because they would know that. They would know that. Doing something. And how far behind YouTube is. Okay, so YouTube is about 15 seconds behind. So it's about a 15-second delay. All right. Wow, we got through those 2 chapters in less than an hour. Well, they were very short. They were very short. So I know people have said some things I didn't necessarily see. What did you say? Omoda. Omoba? I believe there is a supernatural, spiritual, universal God that does not have any religion. Religion is man-made, and God is God. God answers the prayers of whomever believes in his mighty powers. My personal knowledge and belief anyway. Okay. That is your personal belief, and have that personal belief. Mine's a bit different, but there are some similarities. As soon as you put his, you gave it a gender, we start to diverge. But the fact that you said that I have any particular religion or systems or things like that, I would agree that everybody has a path, a journey that they must take on their own, however it works. But I am more akin to it is within you now, outside of you. It is your God and Goddess inside that houses this power and your belief in that, because believing in yourself is the only way you can move forward. Waiting for an outside entity to move you forward, to bring things into your life, to be your causation, does not work with how the universe functions. And if it goes outside of how the universe functions, this creator. So, and all creation has been given into your hands for you to manifest and do what you do. There's no reason for you not. But let me see. Never could, what you say? What you say? Even Christians recognize the discrepancies, but stand 10 toes down on it. Yes, they do, especially the Old Testament, because Jesus paid it all. Let's talk about how Jesus was probably a revolutionary first Facebook. What is YouTube doing? It's a 15-second. The reason why it's a 15-second delay is because I'm using Zoom in the event I bring somebody on. That's the only reason. Is nothing beyond that. Sorry, that's not what's going on. I wish there wasn't a delay. It'd be better. but I guess Zoom has to send it over. And I'm hoping that that's what the issue is. But she's absolutely right. If Jesus, what the Jesus is that Josephus talks about, was a more of a revolutionary, was more of a, because Josephus ben Matthia talked, he's the only one that talks about a Jesus who was alive during that time, during a time frame soon after. The other 125 different historians of that day never wrote about it. So there's even some skepticism of the acceptance of the 4 Jesus characters that Josephus. But he probably was some sort of a revolutionary. The different 4 Jesus, but there were multiple revolutionaries during this era, during these time frames, and these can be compiled into the Jesus story. Would not have been somebody that conformed to governments and how the government system worked. Gnostics embody the teachings and idea more firmly. What's up, C-Mac? Than what currently we have. The reason why we have these orthodox is because of Constantine and the side he chose. So, yeah, I would think that he would have been Roman revolutionary and fought against government, forcing people to believe one pathway. That's it. Say I concur and also believe in spirit guides. Yeah, I do. Now, don't get me wrong. The law of correspondence. See, I can't accept universal law and then not accept the law of correspondence as a law. There are things on a higher conscious level that affect things on the lower conscious level, things on the lower that affect things on a higher. Your strength of will determines whether or not you allow things to happen to you from the higher conscious beings and from the lower conscious being, and from those that are in your state as well. Like, we call this the matter form. It is all frequency. There really is no such thing as matter. It is all frequency and energy that are vibrating at certain rates. All things that vibrate at a certain level that fit into the matter form reality exist in the matter form reality. So there are faster vibration, higher vibrational frequencies existing outside of our realm that we cannot necessarily see, feel, touch. When we sense it, we can know it in our, I do believe that in our dreams, we operate at a higher rate, which is why we can manifest so many different variations of things in our dream states. Like, the dream I had last night, it's gonna take, it's crazy as hell. It's gonna take some minutes to type for that thing. Take some hours rather to just type for that. But there are, I accept that some beings have been able to raise their consciousness to higher levels and not return back to a matter earth state. I believe that most people do not come to that realization until they have probably lived on earth few thousand times, not 100,000, but a few thousand, maybe tens of thousands of times before they get it. Because most people on the planet have always, no matter what the Orthodox religion is, most people on the planet throughout time immemorial have accepted the Orthodox of their day, whether it's Christianity, whether it's all or Shinto, no matter what it is, they've accepted it. The majority of people accept it. Most of the people on the planet accept Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, 3 dominant religions. They're not going to heaven. They're coming back. But I do believe that there are those who have ascended and get that understanding down, get the knowledge down. This is what we're going to do. Talk about the Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, this later on, either Thursday or Friday, as we know, probably Thursday, because we know that tomorrow we talk about relationships. But we're going to do the Tibetan Book of the Dead. It really falls in line with the thought process that I've had for a year. So it's going to be very interesting. I got to reread it. 3 versions of it, 3 chapters of it. I definitely have to reread because I want to use as much of the right wording as possible. Okay, no, but I sometimes feel, smell. Oh, that's the beauty of the power of the mind. When your mental frequency is connecting to their frequency, your other senses kick in. So part of the dream that I had last night is I was swimming through an ocean. That ocean is not real as far as the matter plane. It is in my spiritual mind that I was in that ocean. But my body felt the ocean. You know? It was that real. When I landed on the planet that was made out of gold, I literally could feel it. I woke up this morning, I remember the way it felt. You know? So even in if you're going there in a conscious state, yes, you can. Your mind is so powerful, you can smell it, you can feel it. So I am not in disagreement with you at all. When you say sometimes you can feel or smell it, that's just letting you know how intense it has become. The level of its intensity, the level of its strength, mind. So the more you can do that, the more powerful your mind becomes as far as connecting with a higher plane. So keep working on that. But sometimes, like I'd be in that state and I'd be so mad because I know what's gonna wait and find out something. I know I'm in a dream state. Like last night, I knew I was in a dream state. And it was getting to this one part that I wanted the answer. I wanted the answer. But then I heard wake up call coming. And I was trying to hurry the dream along to get there so I can get this answer. But then I was awakened. I missed the dream. I missed that part of it. But it's all right. It was all right. And I know we got some new people watching. You're watching and you're new. Please comment. Let me know that you're new. Also, where are you? Where are you? Yes, mine are the same way. I wake up because of the realness. I try to stay in them for the realness. Well, one of the things that we're not gonna go there. Thursday. That's for Thursday. That's for Thursday. Thursday is the book of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Life after this, like what the Book of the Dead's process. They say, and there's a lot of agreement that I have with it. Gotta wait. Gotta wait. Gotta wait. Yeah, that's what it's some good stuff. I've been thinking about this for about a week and a half. Because I do believe that we all have a huge desire to know. People say they don't care, they don't know, they don't care. I don't agree with you. You have a curiosity at least. At least there is a level of curiosity that you want to know what happens next. Because we all know that death happens. People don't want, you know, that death as we know it this matter plane, transmutation of your energy happen? We want to know. We do want to know for sure. I want to, but they're so they wake me up. Your dreams, right? I'll be there. Can't wait. They are the only dream I. You know how they say you can't use the bathroom while you sleep? I want to be woken up from that. I want to be woken up from that. It almost caught me a couple times, like a little bit, like oh shit, you gotta get up. Dream be intense. Them, yeah, I want to get up. I want that realness to wake me up. I want to keep that one. You just say single reminder. Yeah, y'all getting ridiculous. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button, which I know you already have, and hit that bell icon. It's Tuesday. Put it on y'all calendar. Oh, Mondays, I'm gonna have to switch Mondays because I already recognize that long-term Monday is not gonna work at 8 o'clock. Monday is gonna have to be at 10 o'clock as well. And this is a selfish reason. I'm being selfish, right? Put it in your thing every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Coach Renz, 10 a.m. And then have your phone send you a reminder, 10 a.m. I might be 10:05, 10:11 sometime, depending on what I'm running around doing. But I'm simplifying my life, right? Put in count Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Monday, 8 o'clock in the morning, I realized that after a certain time frame, January, that's not going to work. So I don't want to be doing something a long period of time and then switch it on y'all. So let me go ahead and just switch it now and just make Monday. We can still get our time in, get our frequency right. But it'll be Monday. Norman Anderson from Elkhart, Indiana. Watching and enjoying. Hey, appreciate you, Norman. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. But Monday. See, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all the reason. Sometime in January, I plan on moving to Don't move to Puerto Rico. Moving to Puerto Rico. When I move to Puerto Rico, I won't have any wake up early. So I'm not. It's completely selfish. I'm not waking up early. I don't want to force to wake up. I will get up the night before. My setup is gonna be always set up, so I ain't gotta do nothing. Just jump on there, put a couple of things, bam, and we good. I'm waking up early in the morning. Not doing it. Part of moving to Puerto Rico is I want to sit. I want to wake up because the sleep. You know how you just wake up just on an alarm clock. If you pee in your sleep, you pee in real life. But if you die in your sleep, you die in real life. Yes and no. Pee in your sleep. Sometimes you will pee on yourself. That has happened. That has happened where went to the side, and I was like, oh, jump up and not the whole thing. But other times I've been peeing in my sleep. I've been peeing as I'm dreaming, but then I feel the rush and I realize, no, you're dreaming, dude. Get up, go pee. I get up. But I've practiced lucid dreaming for a very long time. As far as dying in my sleep, I've died many times in my sleep. I don't recommend people try to die. Wake yourself up. But like the whole falling, and I've done that plenty of times. Now I didn't like that. So I've done the falling and then I'll bounce back up and I'll just fly, just be going bouncing back up and down, up and down. But I've died in my sleep. I've died in my dreams. And then in my dream, when I died, something else. Like I seen my death a bunch of times. Every now and then I thought there was a time where I thought that wasn't me dying, but that was just me astral projecting. Because there are some times in that dream, I will push my spirit back into push my soul back into my body, and then continue on and enjoy that day with my daughter, with my daughters. I used to think that it was my child, but after my second daughter was born, I could recognize that no, that's them two jokers. But I have switched that dream sometimes. I'll switch it and I'll make it with my oldest girl and her youngest daughter. So I when you practice lucid dream, get to a point where you control the dream. You make the dream, you make things happen in the dream you want. Sometimes I didn't like it. There are times that I died in my, and I was like, well, that didn't work out. So you change it. And literally in the dream that I had last night, it's funny you mentioned that. In the dream that I had last night, at one point I died. I lost the fight I lost the sword fight, and I died. And I was like, nah, no. So I reversed the dream and went through the fight again and changed my fighting technique, and I won. So now I think it who's fearful, who doesn't have control, who doesn't focus on their inner god or goddess. I think those people die in their dreams, in their life, because the mind is that powerful. The mind will believe exactly what uh, the body will follow whatever the mind has determined. So I hate to say it this way, but just those people are. I don't mean it in the way that we say it in a negative format, but those are weak only in the idea that they have not trained their mind to be strong so that they can control what happens. And I will tell you, one of the reasons why I decided way back in the day to start working on that was because they were saying that if you die in your dreams, especially that falling, you die in real life. And I was like, it's not gonna be me. Because I was already having those falling. Always control your dream. All right, travel to the astral plane. And then also falling and driving is good, but not killing. I might just say cut. Deborah said she like a movie for her. Cut. Oh, funny part in that dream last night, The Rock he was fighting this one. He was fighting this one group. He was admitting, I know I'm a bad actor, and you know, but I entertain the people, and it's fun. But quit criticizing me to the level of thinking like Denzel. I'm supposed to be Denzel level acting. So we was kicking some butt, and it's weird. We were in this store that I'm familiar with. Deborah says she rejects the violence. Yeah, it is a very powerful. Like being able to control your dreams is a huge step in you determining what your outcome is when you pass on. Transition from this. Trying not to get into it. And we not. That's Thursday, god dog. That's Thursday. That's Thursday. Y'all ain't gonna trick me like that. Y'all be trying to trick me. I know y'all be sending me little comments, keep on, because y'all know it's hard for me to resist. If something happens in my dream that frightens me and I don't like it, I can tell myself I'm in a dream and change the scenario. Exactly, Sheila. That is part of the things of lucid dreaming. C-Mac said I'm living in a PlayStation 5. You know? No, because the simulation theory is part of the idea of the Book of the Dead. Is just the way that most people talk about the simulation theory is off. They went left when they should have went right. No, C-Mac, I'll be trying. I'll be trying me. Like trying me, y'all. Trying me. Not gonna fall for it though. We're not gonna fall for that today. But yes, controlling your dreams is very important. We're going to talk. That is part of the conversation on Thursday. We'll start at 10. And be prepared. I do want people to come in and have conversation. Like even right now, after we finish the readings on Tuesday, people can come into the conversation, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube. If it's on YouTube, then I got to be able to send you the link, but I don't want everybody to get on the link. If I send it, if I put it, I post it on here, let everybody jump on there. It's for that person. Controlling that, I guess I do need, now that tax season is over for me, because I have a select group of people that I do taxes for, and it's over. I'm gonna take some time and study this, control it better, so that we can have people conversations. Just like right now, we probably got to about 1 o'clock that we can be on here if we want to talk about anything else. I'm not going to go beyond we've already done to do. But I am creating some classes. Well, I will be creating some classes on different subject matters, everything from finances to, we had a great discussion last Friday about moving to Africa and getting ourselves ready, and how to do it. So we're going to have classes on that. But one of the other things is helping people move from creating a life after they've walked away from religion, after they've left religion. Creating that is very important. Determining a life is very important. How to deal with your family members, how to come out and talk to people, how to stand on your information. You gotta, when you're leaving a religion, attack, how to get strong for conversations. You have to follow what I put in the video yesterday with Dr. Clark. My peers I debate, I teach. Like I added to it. Foolishness I ignore, silent. You adhere to the hermetic axis. And even as far as teaching deep hermetics, that's going to have to be a different type class. It won't be free. I'm going to write the lesson plan, and we're going to go through it. Some of the things I already have done, like business-oriented things, financial things, those classes, those are already written out. So I'm going to start choosing dates and times for those. In order for us to stay stronger, what cannot happen is people who have walked away, y'all can't go broke. All right? Y'all can. I'm really shy, literally, so I can't go loud. Whatever the break. People who have walked away from religion, you cannot go broke. You cannot start having jacked up relationships. You cannot be in a state where you can't formulate your thought clear and concise. You have to know your facts. The reason why is because a person who believes in a religion can suffer financially. And they can always say God is taking season, God is doing this, and God is doing that. God is always their scapegoat. But when you walked away, you start experiencing tragedies. They will quickly come to you and say that your tragedy is because you walked away from God. You could experience the exact same tragedy that they're experiencing, but you're experiencing it because you walked away from God. Yet they're experiencing it because God is trying to teach a lesson. There's a hypocrisy in it. We have to be prepared for those kinds of hypocrisies and how to deal with them. One, if you don't know how to deal with them, you will you stand a chance of falling. Start second guessing. Coach Renz shut down his popcorn shop. Oh, he shut it down. It was struggling like that because, you know, he walked away from God. That's why. You know, I made a couple of dumbass decisions back in the day, which caused it to struggle. Then I built it up. And then what is this thing? What do we have? COVID happened. I actually made better money during COVID than I did post-COVID, and I can understand why. I can read the tea leaves of business and see why things went down after COVID. And then opening up the cigar lounge, I can see where my attention was placed. And as far as some other aspects of COVID, whereas Amazon, everybody started paying people like $15 an hour, $20 an hour. I saw McDonald's in Rome, Georgia, was paying like $50,000 a year at McDonald's. Can't compete with that as far as getting employees. And then once I decided I was moving to Puerto Rico, I had to start shrinking America a bit, moving to Puerto Rico. There are clear reasons as to why, beyond the supernatural God is coming after you. I walked away and got 1,000% increase. I suffered as a Christian. Exactly. Most Christians do suffer, but they blame that on God. They use God, they use God as a scapegoat for them not actually getting off their ass and getting some stuff done. I had breakfast at 7:30 this morning. I am hungry as hell. And I hate when people eat, do they like it? I'm not. I wouldn't do it. But we have to be prepared for those sorts of things. That's why I never wanted to create those kind of classes, but it's been suggested heavily that I do, and therefore I will oblige. So look for those things to start happening soon. And yes, leaving these religions, if once you left them and once you really come into the true understanding of the hermetics, the Tao, and I like those because those philosophies don't push you towards religion. Once you start reading other philosophical thoughts and embody them, like in the Emperor's Handbook, Marcus Aurelius, he wrote a simple, it's up to you. That's it. It's up to you. Now, he had other lead-in things and thoughts that he talked about as far as leadership and as far as personal development. But at the end of the day, every aspect of your life, it is not up to other people to fulfill them or to complete them. It is simply up to your life is up to you. Your movements are up to you. This is what I was going to talk about yesterday, that it's up to you. That you, with every decision you make, with how you control your emotions, with how you control your thoughts, facilitates your future and what happens in your life. And all those things are up to you. Your perspective, experience, it's up to you of how those experiences affect you. So when you look inward first and go through a process of critical thinking, the trivium and then the quadrivium, you realize how much power you have to be able to manifest, create the life that you desire. Put you in where? Well, you want to come on here live or one of these classes? What you talking about there? You said you shot earlier. I found out that when you leave religion, you find out who your real friends are. Oh, Sheila. Oh, Sheila. Sorry. I was listening to Ready for the World yesterday. So But yes, you're absolutely right. You will most assuredly find out who your true friends are. You really will. Those true friends, you'll find out that you don't really have as many as you thought. You'll find out that family members are not real family members. They're just blood relatives. And that's all they are. So I'm curious if you're watching this live, if you're watching this later, what type of classes would you guys be interested in? Yeah, that's it. What type of classes would you guys be interested in? These classes will not be free. But what type of classes would you guys got clear about that? I think I do enough public service. Can't win. You can't win if you're not right. I want to come do a live. You want to come here, or you want to be on like me send you the link right now? See, Matt. Deborah is hitting on my musical parts of my mind. Oh, classes. Gotcha. You can't win. Who was that? That's Lauren Hill, right? Can't win if you're not right within. She put that in one of her. That is like a lot of songs. That's why I only listen to songs that bring up that uplifts my life in some form. I was trying to listen to this song for his beats yesterday, and I just couldn't. Lyrics were killing me. I was making faces the whole damn time. Oh, come to the shop. Hey, all you gotta do is let me know when you're in town, because I think you don't you live in here? I think you live in Houston. Let me know. We can schedule it. Put it that way. Send me a schedule when you can make it 10 o'clock Monday through Friday. We'll make it work. If you're in the Atlanta area, let me know. Come see me. Oh, let me do. I probably should have did this in the very beginning, so I make sure that I catch people who are just watching this. I am not being mean, y'all. I'm really not. Facebook, YouTube, I'm not being mean. I'm really not trying to be mean. But I need y'all. I need some people to understand. I run a cigar lounge. I do some other things on the side as well because I'm a lover of truth. I like doing business. So I coach. I do not mentor, but I coach. Those people pay for my time. I'm trying not to say this my normal Marine Corps way of talking to people because I can be a little rough. Yeah, the miseducation of Lauren Hill. There are almost 30,000 people who follow me on TikTok. There's 7,420 odd people who follow me on YouTube. There's, I think it's like 8,000 people who follow me on Facebook. People lately have been asking for my phone number, or let's chop it up for about 30 minutes. I gave a few people have my phone number and they just be calling me and they want to talk for like 30, 40 minutes. They want to pull information other people are paying for. It's not fair to those other people, but also I don't have time for all the requests that I get. For you, for you, it's your request. And I understand for you, it's just you to me. But for me, it's every week, 30, 40 people want to talk to me over Facebook Instant Messenger, or they asking for my phone number. They want to call me. And back in the day, I did that one time and I gave my number to people, and people would call me while I'm at work. They want to talk to me for like, just keep talking, and just going and asking this and asking that. And I literally had to change my number. I had to change my number because I had given my number out to too many people. I don't want to sound arrogant. I don't want to sound like those people, the little fake famous people. Because if you actually were around me, you know that I always, because yes, I have been on places, I go places and some people do recognize me. And I call it my fake fame. Sometimes it's cool. Most of the time it's embarrassing. I find it embarrassing. But, and if you ever see me, don't feel like you can't approach me or talk to me. I'm not saying that. It's just usually if I'm with my kids or I'm with somebody, and it's like they be like, oh, they pick on me, and I'll be like, man, it's just, I ain't nobody, because I'm not. When it comes to that, I'm not. I don't think I'm any better than it, but it can be too. So I had to change my number for like 5 years ago or so. So don't feel offended when I don't respond and give you my number, because recognize it's like 30 people, 30, 40 people every week asking for it. It's 30, 50 people every week asking to talk to me. But when I used to go back and say, hey, man, I do coaching. If you want a coaching session, then they felt some kind of way, get all angry, full of yourself and all this. No, I'm not. It ain't about being full of myself. It's just that there are people who pay me to coach them, and I'm not going to dishonor them. And the reason why they paid me to coach them, because this isn't something that I just started reading yesterday. This has been a lifelong journey for me. This has been going to Egypt, going to the Vatican, and going to Saudi Arabia, Mecca and Medina, uh, being stuck in, going and being inside libraries for hours and hours and hours and reading. I'm so mad that I allow my bad judgment of leaving my books, my library, with the wrong person. That person lost my library. And I've read a few hundred, maybe about close to 1,000 books. I'm honest, I probably read a couple of thousand books. It just sounds like a lot. But I've read dissertation studies and all these different things. That comes at a cost to me. And I'm not just gonna give everything. But I've always been somewhat reluctant. Keep it straightforward. The respect comes from no sugarcoat. Right. So I'm not being mean when I don't respond to you wanting my phone number, or, it's Coach Renz. There's a CoachRenz.com for a reason. That's where that happens, because that is how I'm living the rest of my life, is coaching and speaking. But I will always be here to do certain levels of it. But unless you're looking to be coached, stop asking for my phone number, and be ready for the cost that comes with it, because I'm about to put a whole lot of time and energy into you as an individual, or into you as a business. You're about to get, like, I got a client coming today. Today? Yeah. Today's Tuesday. Oh, hell. It's gonna be when the Hawks game. But oh well. Hawks ain't paying me. Um, some just don't understand the process. No, they don't. Uh, But I got a client coming today. She's paying. She's setting up an Airbnb. She's getting ready to set up an Airbnb company. She already has multiple properties. So, and then there are certain other that she doesn't have, but she still has the ability to set them up and how to go through that sales process. We'll be getting her coaching today. Now, I would be wrong to come here and give you guys everything. Wrong to her, wrong to myself. Actually, it's a video. I think we're doing a video call. But that would be wrong. But I would want to say it because last week I got a bigger influx. I think that video about going to Africa. So this past weekend, I should say, that video about moving to Africa that we did on Friday. I think that created a bigger influx because there's a lot of people who want to move to Africa. People who are asking me, give me your number, give me your number, give me your number, give me your number. You are giving back. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jeremy. Oh man, I gave this one person my phone number. Oh my gosh, she would call every third day and just be going on and on. And I would say that I got things to do. I'm popping popcorn and stuff. And she just, oh, I'll call you right back. I finally had to just say, stop. But I don't like being mean to people. Well, I want to help people. And that's the point of this. I wouldn't even be on here. I told you guys about my kids first, and we're here. But I do appreciate when y'all share everything. I'm like and subscribe to the page, and those who donate to the page, I appreciate. Those who have become members of the YouTube page, I appreciate that. Those who give stars on Facebook, thank you. Share it on Facebook. Actually, sharing on Facebook, I didn't know that has a benefit to the growth of the page. But we got to grow this community too. There are many people who are growing this community, but like anything, there are going to be differences of opinions and thoughts, and then we have to constantly maneuver our way through all these different opinions and thoughts. And some people want to find out what is the agenda of the person that you're listening. Like y'all should want to know what my agenda is. Why do I do what I do? Want to know what that is. Those who've been following me for a while pretty much knows it. It's so that the information that I have can be passed on to my children, so that if anything ever happens to me on any day or time, my kids will have my knowledge, and then they can choose to utilize the way they use it. The second one is for anybody else who are undefined. I do not have the intentions of starting a religion or a cult. Religion and cult are the same thing. Religion or a cult. I don't, which is why I've never really quantified everything or codified it. Although I was just codify some stuff, and I said I would, and I would, but I try not to. But even within me codifying it, I am going to very much emphasize that everybody's journey is their own journey. Something that does not connect with you, it does not feel right. Listen to your gut. It don't feel right, then don't take it. Move. Take what you can. Take what works for you, and then dispatch the word. Rest. She was pitching woo. You know what, Devrica? I did think that for a time. I'm not gonna lie to you. But anyway, beyond that, uh, we I do have the agenda of helping Black people to equalize their stand in this world. Not that I want to oppress any other group or oppress those who have oppressed us, but I have the agenda of equalizing our position in the Western world as well as in Africa. Because we allow us to be, because we don't do what's necessary or unwilling to do what's necessary. Our ancestry has shown both that we can create and that we create and have our own cultures, our own dominion, but our ancient ancestors did not adjust accordingly as they change and did not have foresight to see what was happening. Once they did, it's a little late. But like any group that has been oppressed for centuries, it is if you've been oppressed for 400 years, 400 plus years, it is difficult to change the mindsets who grew up in that oppression. Now, what you have to do is create change for the next, see something different. There are many who have been they're accustomed to their misery, as we saw how the Israelites in this reading that we was doing earlier, they were accustomed to the misery of their enslavement in Egypt, according to the story. So when they have an opportunity to have their freedom, if things aren't milk and honey, they have a tendency to want to run back. I do have the agenda of Black people not running back to the activity that they were been in, but to elevate our consciousness, to elevate our lifestyle, our matter plane existence, so that we are on equal power. Let me give you an example. There was the beginning part of our talk about Africa, where, and we didn't go too deep into it, but we went a little bit into it, where the American and Western countries are swerving the world. America wants Africa. America wants Africa's resources. America didn't go and colonize Africa in the same way that the European countries did, for a couple of reasons. One reason is that America was too busy financially colonizing in the Pacific because it was a trade. So they needed those trade routes and refueling stations for their ships that were going to Asia. So its focus was West Coast. It was also expanding across the West Coast. And America already had a bunch of resources back then. So Europe didn't have many resources. So colonizing Africa, colonizing India was an important thing for them in order to build their wealth. America was building its wealth within its land, and then it was colonizing out into Asia for their trade route that way. So it didn't necessarily need colonization in the same format. Plus, America had just came out of colonization, so the idea of colonizing other people may not have went well with America at the time. Although U.S. territories are still colonies. The only African country that became somewhat of a colony, but it was done through a corporate entity, was Liberia. And that's a whole nother. All right, Deborah, I'll see you tomorrow at 10. So in this process, America now wants Africa's resources. That's why they want to convince you that China and Russia are bad. But what they're doing is using the LGBTQ agenda, and actually LGBTQI or intersex. But they're using their power base around the world to try to control Africa. I don't think the people actually in government really care about it, but they are using it. But they do recognize that this is a group that has political influence and power and money, because their tentacles stretch in every other group, whether you're Democrat, member, the group. They have money that backs them. I ain't gonna say every, that's fine. America is going over there telling Uganda that we put sanctions on you. There are 34 different countries in Africa that have anti-LGBTQI legislation, either in practice or on the books. But they are primarily focused on Uganda and Ghana, and I think Zambia. Notice that they won't say nothing to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has way more intense anti-legislation than the African nations. They won't mess with Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia has that oil and they have that oil money. And Saudi Arabia will quickly look at Russia and be like, we don't care what America. Didn't they do that? He did that to Biden recently, like a year ago. He did that. Less than a year ago, did that to Biden. Um, Biden asked him to lower the prices. And he said, man, forget you. And he raised the prices. So they won't mess with them. At the same time, the African nations are fighting back and saying, hey, look, man, you over here worried about us. We did this democratically, and you're supposed to be a country with most democracy. We are doing what our people say that they desire. Just because you have allowed this group to gain a power base in your country doesn't mean we're not in our country. They did it democratically. It is their own sovereignty to do so. But America wants to swing its big bully stick at these countries when it won't do it for other countries. They can't win. The whole goal is for them to control the African resources. They don't really care about the LGBTI. They care about controlling the resources in Africa, in Uganda, in Zambia, in Ghana, especially Ghana. They want that cocoa and that gold. They want to control those resources. So they're using that group. So that group gets more rights. We know this group got their first attainment of those rights was piggybacking on the Civil Rights Bill in the 1960s. So they piggyback on the efforts of Black people, but Black people are not receiving the same level of respect or benefit that they receive. I heard one Ugandan parliamentary gentleman was saying that, look, how can you talk about the morality of human rights when you are allowing Black people and other people to be shot up on the streets and they're unarmed? How do you allow where is your humanity with your gun control? And these white kids are going in and they're shooting up schools. 90% of, and it's probably higher, but at least 90% of school shootings are done by white kids. They're not done by Black. If they were done by Black people, you will see a gun control bill passed. When was the last gun control bill passed? It was passed when the Black Panthers armed themselves with AK-47. And then they passed assault rifle bans. Prior to that, no assault rifle ban. So if Black kids were the ones going into school shooting up, then they would change that whole stance that they, what is it? It's not, I'm about to say AARP, show my age. The NRA would change their stance. They would change their stance. The only reason gun control became an issue recently is because during COVID, Black people went out and bought guns. So many Black people bought guns left and right. Hell, I bought a gun during COVID. I bought another during COVID. So we sit here being used because we don't create the power base to demand the respect. These African nations are creating that power base, but the point I was making in that video is that we have to join, whether you agree or disagree as far as transatlantic slave trade, doesn't matter. Politician looks at you, when cops look at you, if you're copper color, you Black, as far as they're concerned. You can scream out, I'm indigenous. They don't give a damn. Don't get me started about the indigenous. You know, I don't really celebrate Juneteenth because that is not when the last Black people were freed from slavery. If you want to know when the last Black people were freed from slavery, it was in 1866. Not 1865. I think that's when he reached Texas, June 19th, 1865. Almost, you know. But 1866, where were there still slaves in 1866? In the Chickasaws, the Creek, and the Cherokee. They still owned Black people as slaves during that time. So when you want to run and say indigenous, you really need to study slavery and the 5 civilized tribes, and you will come to understand that, yes, although it wasn't as egregious as the European slaveholders, they were still held as slaves. One group, I think is the Chickasaw, they lost so many men in combat and disease that the women would buy African slaves to have them as husbands. Yes, some of them would free them and then make them their husband, but they would buy African slaves to have them. You know, so what is it when they want the green card? 90-day fiance all up in that. They don't tell you about that. You want to claim indigenous. Yeah. So there was a lot of intermarrying. So yes, you may have indigenous bloodlines in you. Your grandma, your grandpa may tell you about how they all that, but hey, it didn't come because they were the original people here. It came mostly because they were enslaved by them. At one point in American history, the 5 civilized tribes owned more slaves than the white people. And yes, they were encouraged, and there are documents that of white people going to the natives and saying that, hey, y'all treating these slaves too nicely. I need to treat them more harshly. And some Native American tribes were trying to uh, become friends with the Europeans, did so in order to make the Europeans feel more comfortable. That's why they call them the 5 civilized tribes, because they dressed like Europeans. They learned English. They picked up Christianity. They lost their indigenous culture to buddy up with the white people, and slavery was part of it. But at the end of the day, in today's world, so that's great to know. Great to know. And you'll have people argue the indigenous thing all day. You ain't doing nothing with it. And it's great to know. It's good history. But if you get pulled over by a cop, you can claim indigenous all day. They gonna treat you like a black man, black woman, regardless. You go in for a job interview, you're a black man. I can lean on my grandmother's side, on my mother's family, on the Creek Indian bloodlines that they have. But guess what? If I rode up to the Creek Nation and I can have my paperwork, they will still not recognize part of their Creek Nation. They ain't trying to share that money with you. That's why it was funny to me. My daughter she did Ancestry. That shit came back and said that she has no native blood in her. Her grandfather on her mother's side is like 2/3. I know he's 1/3 Creek. And I got like one, it was on my side of the family, she'd be like 1/8, like 3/8, or some low ass number, Creek Indian. Right? I don't know exactly how to do all the math. And they said that she had no indigenous blood in her. A whole lot of African, no indigenous, a whole lot of Nigerian, a whole lot of Mali, because my father's family is Mali, a whole lot of Senegal, because that thing, Bantu, Cameroon, all that stuff. But they didn't give her any indigenous blood. They're keeping that money for themselves. They're not gonna give you that status. So, but my daughter gets pulled over, she black. She has to deal with a cop, she's black. She goes in for an interview, she's black. That's what she has to do. So this fight for equality today that is of my agenda is about how the perspective and perception of the world is today, and how you are viewed by everybody. And our best chance to me, my opinion, our best chance coming to an equal state is not through us arguing about indigenous or not arguing about what's in, but about going and taking advantage of the opportunities that we have over. African nations, many of them have made it easier for us to move there, to gain citizenship, to buy land, to start businesses. And this first wave has to start businesses. Don't go over there looking for a job. If you already are able to telework, now that's easier. If you do have like certain skills, certain IT skills, certain, like we talked about at CMAC, CDLs, and you can go over there and buy your truck. That's different. It's the next 10 years from now before you be able to get a job. But we need to set up a system kind of like how the Chinese did. Chinese used the Anti-Chinese Act in order to get their kin over into America by having jobs for their kin to be able to come into America. Those who go over there and start a business hire some of the locals, hire locals, but also hire people who come from America who's looking there. So they can come over there and they can have a job, live. And once you go over there and you establish a company, you build the company, ready to hire employees, let split it in half. Half your employees are local, half your employees are coming from. That's how we build relations. And then as generations, as these 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds see that this is being done, and those are some of the ones doing it. And the teenagers, the current day teenagers, elementary kids see it being done. It will become a natural thing for them. And as we build this, to use the term Pan-Africanism, and we do this in the Caribbean, Black people will start to have a stronger economic and political position in this world. When we say we want certain protections, we get it. We'll get it. That's why the Asians got their bill, and only what? And it goes out to the family, but only a couple of Asian people got killed. A couple of them. And one was, I think it was, well, you had the woman here in Georgia. The white guy went in there and shot up the place in Georgia, in Atlanta area. Matter of fact, not too far from where I am, where it happened. A couple of people got killed, and a couple of people got beat up, while we have hundreds of people get murdered. And we get nothing. What, we get a march. We get a march. We get some T-shirts, some signs in the yard. Sure, I can drive through some predominantly white areas. They'll have a sign, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Yeah. Your sign ain't doing shit. It ain't doing nothing to me. Your sign is not, but it's not up to them. It's up to us. So if you want to know what my agendas are, those are my agendas. And you should know the agendas of anybody that you're listening to. What is their agenda? You don't know that, you should not be listening to them. You got to KRS One them jokers. You don't know the history of the author, then you don't know what you're reading. You don't know my agenda, then you don't know what you're listening. Don't. If you listen to anybody else, I was about to name names of people, but no. If you listen to anybody, you should know their agenda in order to understand their perspective and what they're going towards, what their goal is, what their angling. Otherwise, you may end up in a situation that you don't care. I saw a documentary that shows slavery was still going on in Mississippi in 1969. I had to check that. Is that some like one of those indentured servitude types of slavery that was still going on, like how you had in West Virginia with the coal mines, where there was pretty much indentured slavery? They would never be able to company stole. And they was always so in debt, or a straight up slavery. Contemplate that second. I got to unlock the door because it's 12:12. 12:12. One of my days, he'll be walking in. Set up. That's funny. You think it was some type of indentured servitude or straight slavery? That would be interesting. If you got the name of that, actually, I need this remote. You got the Today I'm gonna relax my brain for a little while. One guy's taxes, whew, took a while. Had to look up a bunch of stuff. Historian, oh, Antoinette Harold. Always good to have Angelina. You go look up some stuff real quick. So I'll check that out. Can't say when. Probably sometime today or tomorrow. I don't do it while it's fresh in my brain. The possibility it won't happen. But yes, so those are my agendas, everybody. So that you understand like what I'm purposeful. And I just look for people to, if for me, it's about people who have that same agenda or somehow your agenda, my agenda interconnect with each other. You need a burner phone if they got that number, you already know. Ah, no, I'm good. I think, you know, I'm doing better with just not letting people have my number. I was like, sorry, just can't have it. I know I'm easy. It seems like I should be easily accessible, but people don't realize how many people are reaching out. So that's why. When are you in Atlanta, C-Mac? Let me know. You already know. But yeah, so those are my agendas. And we'll continue to move forward with those in that guy. Hope you guys can join me in it. I also, you know, I probably shouldn't tell people I moved to Puerto Rico. All of a sudden, y'all start moving to Puerto Rico. Trying to have Puerto Rico to myself. I want to be sitting on the beach and y'all come rolling up on me like, hey, you better sit down, grab your betting bowl, and listen to the ocean. That's what we're gonna be doing. So for the time that we have left, any other subject matters, any other statements, any other subject matters, any other statements? Pretty cool. There's a little 15-second delay. It's a 15-second delay on Facebook, so I'll give y'all some time to see if there's anything else that we would like to talk about. If there's not, then we're going to. Morning Star. So what's wrong with Jesus? You're wearing an unk. So let's hear it. Don't see how my unk has anything to do with Jesus, because the unk actually has absolutely zero to do with Jesus. The unk is a symbol, and it's not just an Egyptian hermetic symbol. The unk was also used by the Sumerians. If you ever go look at the drawings of Elnana, you will see that she is holding an unk. Some of the drawings of Enlil and Enki as well. The unk has always been a symbol in turn. Oh, the Mississippi Senator. Okay, I know. But the unk has always been a symbol of eternal life for multiple cultures, just like the hand of Hansama has been a symbol of protection for multiple, not religiously based at all on one religion, but it represents the balance of the masculine and the feminine, which creates and manifests life. Also, if you have the right type of unk made out of right type, so like copper, you place it at the end of a tuning fork. If you hit the tuning fork without it, it'll vibrate. Connect it and hit it, it will vibrate longer. So it's an extension of energy. So it's all about energy and the continuation of energy. Normally, an unk wouldn't embrace Jesus until you learn that it's a martyr's. So you learn that it's a martyr's make marking in palmistry. The Eye of Horus appearing on Jupiter Mount. Some of that stuff I don't know what that is. But you say, what's wrong with Jesus? Jesus didn't exist in the format to which the Bible talks about Jesus. He was not a son of God in regard as the only begotten son of the creator. Jesus is a story that has multiple parts, that not the way, the truth, and the light as far as him himself. But if you look at it from a state of raised consciousness, especially when you add in the writings found at Nag Hammadi, then you recognize that it is not the being, the person of Jesus, but it is the idea of becoming Christ-minded or Buddha-minded that leads you to the higher consciousness you are. So my problem with Jesus is the legendizing of Jesus, as well as the raising Jesus to a status of Lord or God. So he is not, even in his own teachings, he says that there is none good but God, including himself. So why do you call him good? And people will say, well, he was God, so that's why he's saying that, so he's still saying he's good. No, not what he's saying. Even if you accepted that portion of that book. Right? So they, is it not written that ye are all God, that we are the sons and daughters, just as I am the son of God, that ye are all the sons and daughters of God. Equating everybody else to himself, there will be others that come do greater things than him. So if you look at those from the conscious level, then how can somebody from who is less than he do greater things than God? Then that would make you greater than God. So that doesn't work. So those are some of my issues that I have with Jesus' character, how people have looked at him today. Jesus and Horus have the same birth star. Both taught eternal life, but only Jesus taught how resurrection was. Illustration. Osiris was resurrected, demonstrated. And that's just how resurrection works as far as Christianity has determined resurrection. Because Ilnana and Dumuzi were resurrected, demonstrated. Atticus was resurrected. Dionysius was resurrected. Multiple deities, so-called deities, resurrected. Now, a Christian person would say that he was only resurrected to carry the sins of man. Well, if you want to, if that is the measurement, then you can say that that is different. But everybody else does have a methodology getting to the so-called heavens. If a person says that, well, you worship Krishna and the way that we get is to satisfy our dharma, and that's how we get there. Christians are just going off and saying that, oh, I'm forgiven for everything. You haven't satisfied your dharma, so you're not going to get into heaven, because that's not the right way to get into heaven. It's this easy little, oh, I believe and I'm good. You actually have to demonstrate that belief through how you live your life, through satisfying your dharma. So if that's a more stringent measurement, get there, that takes you more work, that takes a raising of your consciousness, increasing your morality. So that is actually something that seems more legitimate than you just believing in a risen savior, because Krishna was a risen, reincarnated savior as well. And recently departed, I end up seeing them the same way as cast out of them. Those cast out just people. And that's fine for your opinion. And for your experience, if that's what you experience and that's what you believe you experience, that's fine. I'm holding back on some of the things that I really want to say because that's what we're going to, that's going to be part, that will be part of what we're going to talk on Thursday. But to ask the question, I've answered it. Those are my problems that I have. I go into the resurrections and what you see after death. That's on Thursday. But all I will say, because I already said it, the Tibetan Book of the Dead will tell you what those things that you're seeing will tell you that everybody's going to see the same type of things when they die that just Jesus saw. That was already written in the Book of the Dead, Tibetan Book of the Dead, before Jesus ever came about. So that's what you will see. That's what the book of that's what the Tibetan Book of the Dead describes from their perspective, which was written a good 500 plus years before Jesus. So a case can be made that Jesus learned that because it is found that the Nicaeans, there was a quarry, Nazareth, a Roman quarry, and that there were Buddhist monks who were at the quarries prior to that time of Jesus. So it is possible that he could have learned that Book of the Dead from, because there are conflicting stories as to where Jesus was when he was growing up. One story says Egypt, where another story says he went back to Nazareth. And they're both in the Bible. Thank you for allowing my experience. Of course, share yours. I've seen a kid return for religion born this way. It's a family gift. My dad had it too. I could also move stuff. He could also move stuff with his mind. I'm not gonna believe that until I see it, but I'm not gonna take away that's what you say happened. That's what happened. As far as the moving stuff with his mind, I do believe that people do that is a possible ability. And the thing about it is that if you had become Islamic, you would believe that Allah gave you that gift. If you had grew up Islamic, you would claim like Allah gave you that gift, whichever deity that you was in. And that's one of the failings of people, is that we attach gifts to what we have been conditioned to believe, instead of just saying that it is all a gift. It is all something that you have had that is within you, that it wasn't given to you from something outside of you. That is my only issue with that. No, I can prove that Jesus never existed in the way that the Bible describes it. Done that plenty of times before. But I will agree that some of the things taught does work and occur, because those things have been taught prior to him by other teachings. So, and that's what I tell people. There's a Buddhist saying that says that seek what Buddha saw. Don't seek Buddha, but seek what Buddha saw. If you meet Buddha on the street, then kill him. And the reason why it says that, because too many people are seeking Buddha and they want to deify Buddha. And if they ever met Buddha on the street, they would then deify. Seek what Buddha saw, which is the raising of your consciousness. I would accept that if Jesus existed in any form or fashion, that he was teaching more of what the Gnostics wind up from, and that you should seek what he was seeking, what he was teaching, of the development of the consciousness, development of your mind, the connection that you have with your inner God and Goddess, to be able to connect back to the all and truly live as your fully divine self. So that then you should seek what he was seeking, but not seek him. Because as people have seeked Jesus, they have deified Jesus, legendized Jesus, and now they worship Jesus instead of becoming what he's talking about becoming. You see what I'm saying? So the power of your mind is so intense that it can either lead you to a higher consciousness or lead you away from it, where you're dependent upon somebody else or something else to increase your consciousness. Every psychic ability is written. Developing does not require. Any Freemason would know this, but can't tell anyone. I would not say that any Freemason. There are a lot of Freemasons that don't learn certain things until they reach certain levels. So not any Freemason would know this. You have to be a Freemason of certain degrees to know certain things. But you're right. The message of Jesus was to become your own God. But that's not the message that people I have followed. So you and I are in agreement with that. But yeah. So, but I'm not gonna get too deep. This will be good for Thursday, like I said before. But I do accept that we have more capabilities than we give ourselves credit for. If you can understand frequency and energy, that you will recognize that an apple is just frequencies that have certain vibration, right? And when they mesh at, and you understand that frequency, it's kind of like when a person sings and they were able to break glass because they've gotten into that frequency of the glass, and then they raise that frequency to the point where it vibrates at a higher, it vibrates so much that it shatters. If you can understand how to control those frequencies to not shatter the apple, or shatter a person, or anything of that nature, but to work in concert with, then you can come into an agreement with that energy and therefore cause the apple to levitate or rearrange the frequency of the apple to turn it into an orange. We have to then know the frequency of an orange to do that. So that's some higher level, higher conscious things, right? To be able to recognize. Most people will just accept what they see in front of them and what they're told. So you have to be able to remove those mental blocks in order to be able to do that. It's not easy. Been working on it for a long time. Can't claim that I've levitated things. Seen some things move though. Slight vibration, slight movement. Working on it. Put it that way. But what I have seen, one thing is the telepathy. Being able to imprint thoughts into people, to be able to communicate with people through thought pattern, even if they can't communicate back. But in order for people to know what I'm thinking, I'm saying, that's a message I'm trying to get across. You know how, like, when you got somebody that you know real well and you can give them certain looks and they know what that look, but to be able to do something like, to be able to do that without actually having to give a look, but the person automatically, kind of like when you got a couple that for a long time, they just are in sync with each other, you know. But to do that purposely, be able to do that purpose. That's something that I would. We say telepathy is the mercury. You know more about palmistry than most. That is not something that I would claim to be an expert at. I look at my poems and I see lines, a whole bunch of lines. We are about to shut this down, guys. I do appreciate you guys being here. A line from the pinky finger back to the wrist equals telepathy, knowing the minds of others. Pinky. I don't think there is. I don't have a line. Look at my hand. That wrist doesn't. Interesting. But anyway, we're going to close out. Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, relationships. We're talking about relationships. We're not talking about spirituality, unless the spirituality has something to do with a relationship. Talking about relationships and how we can, because that's a very important part of building ourselves, is the relationships that we have with each other. We will be Thursday, we're going to talk about the Tibetan Book of the Dead, what happens after death, the process that people believe in, how that connects with dreams, and how do you build yourself to prepare yourself for the time frame of your transitioning, so that you're not scared, walking in fear. Friday, I have no idea what we're going to do. For everybody who has donated to the channel, I greatly appreciate it. Everybody who subscribed and have shared and they join. If you join on YouTube, hit the bell icon, notifications of when we start. Every day is going to be at 10 o'clock and around 10 o'clock. And at that time, my morning's going to start. But we're going to continue. I do appreciate you guys. Share the page, share with other people, share the video. Let's build this community. Let's continue to grow. So y'all have a great day. And remember that you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. The journey, the vibration, we are. I think I have to go. So YouTube, really appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great day, and I will see you guys. When am I gonna see you guys? See you tomorrow, actually. Except I forgot how I got into this video. Can't find the Zoom. I am going to sit down and really learn how this daggone Zoom works. I now don't see where I can end the daggone video because I don't see the Zoom broadcast. Where's that look? There it is. There it is. There it is. There she. There we end it.